this 31 years of my life and throughout the duty tours. And I have worshiped many times in a dress uniform in cathedrals, and also many times out in the field, covered in mud and sweat and wearing my uniform and war paint underneath my eyes, and out there worshiping under a tree with a bunch of other soldiers. And every time I do it, I would bless the fact and bless our God that we have a nation that provides chaplains to provide religious freedom so we can pray. Isn't it kind of interesting right now, this very week, our Supreme Court is hearing decisions, right? Making decisions, thinking about what to do regarding the place of public prayer. When one of the very first things that George Washington did when he became president, I'm talking in the first week, was establish chaplains in the Army. And then, you know, of course, Congress, the Senate starts with a prayer, all right? There is definitely a place for it. You know that the Constitution was not, and particularly the amendment regarding religious freedom, was not set up for the freedom from religion, but rather freedom of religion. It was not set up to protect the government from religious people. It was set up to protect religious people from government intrusion. Okay, that's our nation. And so when we come on Veterans Day, we're not celebrating war or something like that. What we're doing is celebrating service and the protection of Almighty God. And we especially want to honor our veterans. And I might need the help, I think, of any of our ushers here, because we have a box here with a gift. But are there any persons in the sanctuary who are veterans or currently are in the service or National Guard right now? You got any veterans? Wow, sure we had a couple. Oh, there we go. There we go. So a couple. Please keep standing there. I can see. We want to give them both a copy of my book and then a copy of the Soldier's Bible. You can come and bring that box out, Dave, and set it out there so that they can get this. Would you hold up the Bible there, Dave, for them so they can see that? This is called I think it's called the Military Bible. Military Bible. And Cinda's oldest brother is an Army chaplain, and he's the editor. He's the editor of that Bible. So I called him and said, can you give us about a dozen copies? And he sent me about 20. So we have those. Then we have a little book I wrote a few years ago called Great Thoughts for Veterans. So let's give our actual veterans, let's give them a copy of each and thank them so much for their service. Bless them. I think we have 3. So we thank you so much. Make sure they get both that. And then we got some extras left. I wonder how many of you here, you've got a family member at home, someone in the area who's a veteran, a granddad. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've got somebody in your family who is a veteran. And I hope we got enough copies. We'll try to honor them with a Bible. Give them a Bible or a copy of my little book. And if we don't have enough, I'll get some more. And how many of you here know of someone who's serving overseas, serving in the military? You got a family. Everybody does, right? Absolutely everybody does out there. And, you know, we now have over 8 million veterans in the United States. And one particular group, the World War II and Korean veterans, are dying at a rate of almost 1,000 a day. It's actually taxed the military's ability to do all these funerals because so many of them are passing away. Okay? A lot of Vietnam era veterans as well. And these are defenders of our freedom. These are our warriors. And they only understand the idea of what it means to be gone from your home and deprivation and the difficulties in serving your nation. All of us deal with it, whether you're at home or overseas. We are a war-weary nation. Would you agree? We're war-weary. We've now been in the longest period of sustained combat of any time in our nation's history ever. It's been about 11 years. And the consequences go on. And I have one short reading for you today that's something you probably don't know about at all. I've had some opportunities to be at the Pentagon, and as you know, every week there are persons that are coming home, there are caskets that come home, but lots of wounded warriors who face weeks and months and even years of physical therapy and recovery from their injuries. And I bet you don't know the ceremony that goes on there, and I'd like to read this for you because it happened this past Friday, and it's done at the Pentagon. And this is an account given by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Bateman, who describes this ceremony. Here it is. He says it's 110 yards from the E ring to the A ring of the Pentagon. This section of the Pentagon is newly renovated. The floors shine, the hallway is broad, and the lighting is bright. At this very instant, the entire length of the corridor is packed. It's got officers, a few sergeants, and some civilians, all crammed tightly 3 and 4 deep against the walls. There are thousands in this one hallway. Everyone shifts to ensure an open path remains down the center. The air conditioning was not designed for this press of bodies in this area. The temperature is rising already. Nobody cares. And at 10:30 hours, the clapping starts at the E-ring. That's the outermost of the 5 rings of the Pentagon, and it's the closest to the entrance to the building. This clapping is low. It's sustained. It's hearty. It is applause with a deep emotion behind it as it moves forward in a wave down the length of the hallway. A steady wave of sound it is, moving at the pace of a soldier in a wheelchair who marks the forward edge with his presence. He is the first. He is missing the greater part of one leg, and his wounds are still visible. By his age, I expect that he is a private, or a private first class. Captains, majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels meet his gaze, and they nod and applaud, soldier to soldier. Almost everyone lining the hallway is, like the man in the wheelchair, also a combat veteran. This steadies the applause, but I think it also deepens the sentiment. We've all been there now. The soldier's chair is pushed by a full colonel. Behind him and stretching the length from rings E to A come more of his peers, each a private, a corporal, or a sergeant, assisted by a field-grade officer. It's now 1100 hours. I've been applauding for 24 steady minutes, and my hands hurt, and I laugh at myself at how stupid that sounds in my head. My hands hurt. Please just shut up and clap. For 24 minutes, soldier after soldier has come down this hallway, first 20, 25, and then 30. 53 legs come with them, and perhaps only 52 hands or arms, but down this hall come 30 solid hearts. They pass down this corridor of officers and applause, and then they meet for a private lunch, at which they are the guest of honors, hosted by the generals. Some are wheeled along. Some insist upon getting out of their chairs to march as best they can, with their chins held up down this hallway through this most unique audience. Some are catching handshakes and smiling like a politician on the 4th of July parade. More than a few seemed amazed, and they are smiling shyly. There are families with them as well. An 18-year-old war bride pushing her 19-year-old husband's wheelchair and not quite understanding why her husband is so affected by this. The boy she grew up with, now a man, who has never shed a tear, is now crying unashamedly. The older immigrant Latino parents who have perhaps more than their wounded mid-20s son have an appreciation for the emotion given on their son's behalf. No man in that hallway, walking or clapping, is ashamed by the tears on all of their cheeks. An airborne ranger wipes his eyes only so he can better see. A couple officers in this crowd have been themselves part of this parade in the past. These are our men, our American men. Broken in body they may be, but they are our brothers, and we welcome them home in this way. And this parade has gone on every single Friday, all year long, for more than 10 years. Did you know that? The media has not yet told half the story. These are the members of the next great generation who are living history right now on behalf of you and me. And we give thanks to God for the sacrifice made by these heroes to protect us. And we give thanks to all of these service members. We're going to have a prayer for them now.